Good morning traders, Joseph here from Eightcap for this week's Asian Session Trade Zone update. So we have to start with Friday. Friday was the non-farm payroll, and it sure gave us a bit of a surprise. I'm sort of giving up on trying to work all this out at the moment, and the reason for that is we had hawkish news on, after the FOMC, and we saw a real strong dollar fight back. We saw stocks moving lower, and we saw that pullback, and the dollar then took a total U-turn on Friday's session, and we saw 1.93% taking off the dollar, which is a very big move on the dollar index. It's it's a very big single day session move for that. So it was quite interesting, and when we look at it, it could be due to the unemployment rate really, but we had higher job creation with 261k over 197. We had higher average earnings, but we had unemployment just coming above what was expected at 3.7%. Canadian data as well, unemployment dropped to 5.2, and we saw employment change coming in a very, very healthy figure at 108.3k. That's it smashed the 11k which was forecast. So we did see a pretty strong move on the CAD as well. Oil was firm that day as well. So we saw 5.18% added on oil. So we can see here that the dollar CAD followed the USD index sharply lower, and today we are seeing a bit of a fight back. Just try and get that to update, so we can see that gap higher and a little bit of buying at this stage in the morning. I'm sorry my voice is still croaky. I'm still getting over this cold I picked up last week. We've had some pretty up and down weather in Melbourne, so it's great conditions for picking up bugs when it's going from hot to cold constantly during the week. So anyway, enough with my issues. So we probably think this is the main reason maybe why risk markets took off with unemployment increasing. So maybe that could be a sign that there could be a little bit of pressure on the Fed's hawkish stance. If unemployment's increasing, it could not force the Fed, but could influence them to maybe re-look at the situation a tiny bit at the moment. We'll see if that does come into fruition or not, but definitely risk markets, we can just see the dollar index opening now, just gapping up higher. So risk markets, yeah, they had a really fantastic session. So the Aussie, for instance, really powered ahead. Like, I mean, that's a tremendous single session there. Roared all the way back up to levels not seen for a few days. So we saw the market close at that 64.70 point. We have seen a gap lower this morning. The euro was a similar story. We've just seen these gaps lower this morning. They are starting to be filled at the moment, but very strong sessions are higher for risk markets to end last week. Now the yen pairs are trading lower this morning. The dollar is trading higher to the yen. Still remains pretty choppy on the dollar yen after some the action we've been seeing for most of the year. We'll need to see something break this deadlock. We don't see really any trading opportunities just yet. It's mid-range at the moment, so if you are a range trade player, you can sell the top of the range and buy the bottom of the range. There's been a few good buys there, but at the moment it's mid-range, so we really need to wait for it to fail again at the top of the range or at the bottom of the range. And the stock indices, we saw some really solid moves. The German 30, for instance, jumped to new weekly highs and monthly highs for October. Came quite close to testing that high we saw back in September, but it just failed on hitting that. But this trend's pretty mature now. It's a daily chart, remember, so we've been seeing a fair bit of ascending from buyers over the last couple of weeks. So now let's see what happens next. If we do see further push higher and a pullback, and if we can continue to move higher, will we see this trend get back up to that 13,968 area to test that higher we saw back in back in August? So we'll need to see just continuation of what we've been seeing, pullbacks, a new high continuation, and we're seeing that pattern on Friday. It is quite a dramatic return to the pattern of trend, but we will see if we get a pullback, and then if we do continue to make higher highs. We got our retracement, so we were looking, we were talking about getting that pullback. We got that pullback. We got our rally, but now we really need to see buyers take that next step, break this high at 32, 640 to 45, just to see if we can get another move up to test this area. If we do see a test there, we'd like to see a break at this point, just to signify that this trend is still going. To be honest with you, the pattern of trend on the DAX looks a little bit better than the US 30 at this point, but they don't always look perfect, and they can still move up, or they can, swing momentum. But at the moment, this is a little bit of an inside, it does have a bit of an inside feel to it, so there's a lot of selling as well to end the New York session on Friday, so we would like to see buyers show a bit more momentum, a bit more commitment, and at least break this point to show that they are going to continue on. Now, we want to just touch on the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq's been suffering from some other influences, as in earnings misses and uncertainty still in the tech sector. It's still clinging to this support here, so we really want to see that 10.656 hold. That is support, and we want to see buyers hold that level. We've seen two moves below it that have been rejected by buyers, so we can see this move here back on the 13th to the 10th, and we can see this move here on Friday. We've had that tiny dip lower, so if we see a break below this level, that's quite a bearish sign for us. But if we can see a break of this point up at 10.932 with a push higher and a close, that would be a positive. But we really do need to see this support hold just to continue to see that. Now, oil, I do follow oil closely, and I do enjoy the oil market. Now, oil had a really strong session on Friday, added over 5%. We saw a break of this range here at 89.96, and it's a really strong little breakout. We've gone back up to this area here at 93.42, so really now it's up to buyers to break that level, and if we can see a move back up to 97.51 or above, we do start to wonder if that's going to start to put pressure back on the inflation and CPI side of things. If we do go over $100 a barrel, definitely we would think that psychologically that could start to have an influence when those higher prices do filter through. So we still have really high, higher fuel costs in Australia. Gas prices in America are totally absurd at the moment. Europe prices in Europe are very high. From what I've heard, prices in New Zealand are high. So this all does play into the CPI, as it does have an impact on shipping, it has an impact on production, and it does come back down to the bottom consumer like myself and most people are, and it starts to put pressure on us and hurt us as well. So the higher oil is, I think, the more damaging it's going to be with people trying to control CPI, and especially for the Fed and for the US government. And you never know, we might even see further oil released from the emergency stockpiles, as Joe Biden has done previously this year. And we will be watching oil to see the role that it will play or could play in this current CPI fight, and how that will reflect. We still do like stock indices at the moment, but we just, like I said, the ASX has just started to come online. We'll just have a look. We've got a price so far this morning, so we're seeing a 36-point gain at the moment, so that's 0.53%. Sorry, I'll just double check on that. Yeah, so we're online with the ASX, so we're up 32 points at this stage, and 0.47% higher. So it has opened, off Friday's close, but we'd like to see if buyers can just find some momentum again, push back up to test this resistance point at 6988, and if we did see a break of this level here back into the 7,000s, that'd be a fantastic sign from buyers. So otherwise, we will just continue to see how the dollar reacts to last Friday's move. Now, there is some data coming out for the US dollar this week, and we'll get into that in just one moment. We'll just touch on some of the crypto markets. So crypto's had a really strong session on Friday, so things looked a little bit shaky. We had this little retracement, but pattern and trend wise, it looked very good. We had support holds, and we had that real strong bullish bar on Friday. The weekend session was a little bit 50-50, not too much, but we are seeing a hold above this resistance at 29.75 on Bitcoin. We would like to see buyers stay above that point. If we do have a bit of a dip, we'd like to see it pull out of that pretty quickly, get back up to this level at 21.353, and any trading above that level, it just shows a continuation of the trend, and it's nice and healthy, and we'll be looking at that as a positive. We won't jump over all the crypto markets this morning. We'll just look at some of the bigger ones. Ethereum was a little bit weaker over the weekend after Friday's solid bar. So with the resistance is definitely around that 1652 point. Again, we just want to see normal pattern of trend return. This is starting to get a little. The shape of this market is starting to get a little bit interesting. Could be a touch ending diagonal, but again, if we can see a break above this high here, that would be showing buyer strength and buyer momentum, and we'll be looking for this trend to continue. But definitely it looks, there's a little bit of indecision creeping in at the moment on Ethereum for sure. So there was a lot of fast movement very quickly. We remember back on this impulse move higher up this previously, and it is moving up in impulses again last Friday. So another one it's been seeing some very strong movements lately is Binance coin. We see that incredibly strong move higher. So Friday was quite a significant day. It broke above this range that had been held in for a fair period of time, even before we had that first leg up. Sellers really were trying to lock price in at that 330 area. Friday's session absolutely smashed that, and we saw a close above it, and at levels not seen really going back to May this year. So it was quite significant on Friday for Binance coin. So just taking a quick look down at some of the indices for crypto. So we'll just have a look at the top 25. So again, we'll just update that. So you can see a little bit of a move down, but we did break just edge above that range there at 9656. I think like with Ethereum, we can see that same kind of pattern starting to develop, and it's not a little bit of indecision, but what we really want to see now is buyers come back into the market. We want to see a new high or low formed. We want to see a new move up, a test of that resistance at least, or preferably what I'd like to see is a break and close above 97.37 or above the 99.43 area, and just show some real buyer momentum and control. And then if things really do get underway, we'll be looking for a further push up to test that that 10,800 area. But again, look, that's quite far away. First things first, we really need to see a break above this level here. So there's still some good signs on crypto, but we do want to see buyers come back into the market, and I think that will come down to a few things this week may influence that. So we'll have a look at the news that's coming up this week before we wrap it up, and just one moment, thanks. So daylight savings has shifted in the US and Canada. So for us local traders on the east coast of Australia, they're observing daylight savings time. That means the the US session will be starting an hour later. So that will now become 12:30 p.m. Local time, and that's moving from the 11:30 p.m. Local time. So we don't have too much coming up in the next 2 days. We do have a couple Maester and Collins are speaking from the FOMC tomorrow, and we do have RBA comments coming from Governor Lowe, and on Wednesday we have the midterm elections in the US. Now this may have some impacts on the US dollar, but I think primarily most traders will be looking to see the position of the Democrats moving towards the next election in the States. And this is where things get a little bit more interesting. On Friday we are going to see US CPI. Now CPI is expected to come in slightly higher at 0.6%. Year on year is meant to come in slightly lower at 8%, and of course CPI is expected to come in slightly lower at 0.5%. And that's really the key one coming out on Friday. So also keep an eye on the UK GDP, which is expected to come in slightly lower at minus 0.04%. So we also have French bank holiday, and we have bank holidays on the tail end of the New York session on Saturday morning local time here. So, and I believe that is Thanksgiving. I'll just check that. Sorry, this is for Veterans Day. Sorry, this is for Canada and for the US. So there's some of the keys that we're looking for with the dollar index. So really now with the dollar index, we've seen this resistance hold at 112.97. We've seen this really strong bar down, which is as pointed out, it's quite a very strong single bar decline. So we now want to see if sellers can back that up, if momentum is going to carry forward, and if we do see a move back down. A break below 109.43 is quite bearish, and anything close below that could signal that we are seeing, you know, a bit of a shift in the trend. So we've seen this very nice trend up. We're starting to see a bit of a distribution pattern here, but we really need to see a break of this low down at 109 just to say that we are entering into a, you know, a stage 4. If you've ever looked at Sam Weinstein's market cycles, so we have, you know, the 1, the 2, the 3 in distribution, and the 4 is the decline. So a break at that point could definitely start to point towards a stage 4. So we'll keep watching the dollar with a bit of interest, but obviously if the dollar declines, we'll be looking for risk markets to rally, and we'll be looking for risk currencies, the Aussie, Euro and Pound, to continue to push higher and regain, you know, some lost territory that we've seen over, you know, the previous months going back here. So interesting times, and we will continue to check it out, and hopefully you have a fantastic trading week. Sorry for this video going a little bit over, it's running a bit long, but so please check out our mid and week guest analysts. They have fantastic videos and a lot of fantastic information. So I'll wrap it up there. Look, I really appreciate your time. Sorry the video went over 10 minutes. I hope you have a fantastic trading week, and until our next update, good trading and bye for now.